I didn't have any cold beer, so I got a Jack and Coke.
That works. I've got one of Shiny's new flavors, dark berry. And when you're here, I'm going to have to give you some to try. Really good. And they're based out of Niagara.
Sure.
Cheers to the tour and all the excitement that you've had lately.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Well, I don't know if you remember this, but the first time we met each other was kind of funny. At the CCMAs in Hamilton, you had performed, and I met you afterwards. And I said to you, were you nervous? Because it was your first time, on TV doing big performance by yourself, Canada-wide. You thought I said, are you an artist?
Oh, I do remember that.
It's like, it's not like we
hadn't
spoken, like we had spoken to each other before that. It was just kind of funny. You're in the middle of your cross Canada country mixtape tour with the boys, Andrew Hyatt, Shawn Austin. How did that all come about?
We all don't really seem to know how it happened. We were all looking to be on the road. Our teams ended up being in contact, and all three of us are buddies. And so we're like, why the heck wouldn't we all three do a tour? And there's all three of us doing it together instead of just like an opener and recording and a headliner. It's like, no, let's just do the whole thing all together.
Like you said, it's not a traditional format for show, not having a headliner, just all three being equal. And Aaron Pritchett did that recently with Corey Marks and Matt Lang, and it worked out so much better. The audience was so much more engaged.
Yeah.
Showed the true, genuine connection between the artists. It's really important that people come on time.
Yeah, if they're not coming on time, they're probably going to be missing out on something. I know the other guys aren't just holding their hits for the end too. Yeah, we heard that the format was a bit similar with Aaron. Aaron was messaging me and just like encouraging me and like promoting ours too.
Nice. How did this title come to be? What makes it a mixtape tour? Because you're all country, but what do you think makes it a little different and spicy?
Yeah, spicy. We had a different name originally, and we went through a couple different ones of figuring out what was the best for the type of show that we were doing. I think it was my manager that had brought up the idea of country mixtape. It just works out because all three of us, we are all country artists, but we're three different styles of country, we feel like. Like Andrew's a bit more of the rock. Shawn is just like silky and buttery. Like he's got like almost like a Brett Eldridge sort of thing going on. I'm a bit more of like traditional, a bit more honky tonk. We thought it would be a cool name for it because it almost feels like you're going through a mixtape of different types of genres of country music. You never really know what's coming up next either. I know when I would throw in like burnt CDs and stuff, growing up, like I get like Nickelback and then like Three Doors Down and then like Sum 41 and all these random things that it was like you never know what's coming next. And that's kind of what our show format is.
Yeah, I think it's great too for the audience if they're bringing friends or maybe somebody that doesn't know one as much as the other and likes a different style more than the other. Going back to the Aaron Pritchett concert, Corey Marks, he did some Rush. He did some Shaggy. Something for everybody there.
Totally.
I noticed you're on the bus with the boys too. I can't imagine the chaos
that
was on there.
It's chaos, that's for sure.
What's something about Andrew and Shawn that you didn't know?
We drink different. Andrew's way more of like the Jack and Ginger, Jack and Coke kind of guy. He likes more of the whiskey. Shawn is like a connoisseur of just alcohol. He knows a lot about bourbon and scotch and beer and everything. Like he's very well rounded in that. I'm like the beer guy, beer and whiskey. When you're on stage, you're just kind of pounding stuff back. And then when you're on the bus and kind of hanging out, it's like you kind of get to choose what. It's like, oh, I'm just feeling like this today. I don't have to have a beer. I can have this.
You guys are drinking on stage.
You could say that. Yeah, that's an understatement.
I don't know how. Yeah. Such a talent to be able to sing. Like I've said this numerous times. I can't even drink water and talk on the radio because it just does not work in there. So I can't imagine singing on top of that. And that's what talent is.
The trick is not drinking too much. I will say I've had a little bit on this tour, but it's also fun because like we do have a bar up on stage. If you're not the one singing, you're at the bar drinking. And it feels like you're a part of the party going on.
With this bar, I saw Andrew had put out a request for fans to bring some decorations. Has anyone brought anything cool so far?
We had somebody at the last show, and I said, hey, if anybody's got something they want to put on the bar, and a lady was like, yeah, I do. And she walked up to the stage, and then she wanted to go on the bar. We're like, no, back in the crowd.
Hopefully you get something good. Still got some dates left.
Hopefully, yeah.
I want to talk here for a little bit about some of your successes. Your first independent Canadian country artist reached #1 at radio for first 2 singles. Your 2021 Sirius XM Top of the Country winner. You've received so many CCMA nominations. I said this to you at the red carpet that I feel like you're still new. I mean, you've been working on this forever, but like you were working a regular job and you're able to phase out of that and really pursue this music career. And then you're at Budweiser's stage here in Toronto. It's just like incredible to see how much success from Pillow Talking really pushed it. So you never know what's around the corner, really.
Totally. I've heard that one song can change everything. It was a bit of a weird success because it was right at the start of COVID. So I had a couple of years still that it was like, well, I can't play shows. I'd never met fans that knew my music. So yeah, I was still just working my regular day-to-day job. I was a contractor. And once things opened up, we just kind of kicked the doors down a little. And I wasn't expecting to do this for a job. Sometimes you just find the right time and the right song and the right person, and things happen.
Sometimes you don't, but sometimes you do.
Sometimes you do.
Have you treated yourself to anything that, big splurge? Have you gone on like a big trip, or have you bought yourself a fancy new truck?
Since I was a contractor, I was driving a 2012 Silverado. I love that truck. Yeah, I finally made a bit of a splurge and got just a new Silverado. So, but it's still Silverado, just a new one. And it's weird. Like I'm not used to that. I was always the guy that would always buy like used truck. I don't know how to work half of it because there's a lot of screens and bells and whistles and stuff.
You don't have time to sit around and figure that out. You've got more important things to do.
No, yeah.
So Broken Man, latest single. It's very different from Pillow Talking. It's a drinking song, but not that kind of a drinking song. Very hard hitting. And I know this was a co-write for you. So was this a song that you had came in with the idea of, or was it something that one of the other guys threw out?
Yeah, I brought the idea. I'd been holding on to this idea for a while. The two guys I wrote it with was Rita Isbell and Blake Bollinger, and I'd never met either of them before. I grew up just loving all the outdoor stuff, and so I listened to like Meat Eater podcast, which is about hunting and meat. And Luke Combs had an episode that he did with Meat Eater, and he brought his two buddies. I heard these guys talk about their philosophy of songwriting. And I was like, man, like Luke's one thing, but like these guys have such a cool philosophy too about songwriting. I'd love to write with them one day. And the next trip I took down to Nashville, Reed was on the schedule, and I was like, oh, this is sick. And then I looked into what Blake had written. There's something about it that I knew that this was the right songwriting session to bring this into. I brought up the idea and I was like, guys, I have this idea that's just sitting around. It's called Broken Man. And I played a bit of a verse and chorus idea, and I was like, we can change everything if you want, or if you like pieces of it, let's keep some. But like, do you guys like it? And they're like, do you got anything else? I was like, oh, what do you want? Songs about beer, girls, trucks?
Yeah.
They're like, we're screwing with you. We love the idea. And they're like, it's a very real song, and we want to write real music. Yeah, and the song had a bit of a journey. It got put on hold the next day by a U.S. artist. Because like before I was an artist, I was a songwriter. And so I was like, I would love it if somebody else cut more of my music. I'm never going to say no to that, especially if it's a U.S. artist. That's always great. They didn't end up cutting it. And so it came back in my pocket, and it was like, maybe we just do this one. I always thought the song was bigger than me. But then I realized if it's bigger than me, it doesn't mean that I can't do it. It just means that this is going to mean a lot more to other people, probably. I think I wrote the song because I needed to hear the message myself of you need to learn to give yourself a break sometimes, because I'll be the first one to let my own mistakes and shortcomings just hang it right over my head and not let it go. And so I think I needed to hear the message, and I figured if I needed to hear it, there's probably some other people out there that also need to hear it.
It's nice when you have the fun and upbeat songs, but then to have the ones like this really tell a story, really balances it out, makes you more well-rounded as an artist. And you're at a place now in your career where a song like this can really thrive and people will listen to it and pay attention to it. For somebody like me and, other people that aren't songwriters, it's really hard for us to grasp the idea of writing such a song that you put so much time into and you're so excited about, and then giving it away to somebody else.
Yeah,
it's like
weird.
Every time I hear that, I can't wrap my head around that. But apparently when you know if it's your song or not.
Yeah, and like even right now, Lemon Cash, they've got a song out called Thank You for the Music, and I was a writer on that one as well. It's weird to separate yourself from the things that you create, where it's like, oh, I love the song, but I don't think I should do it. Maybe somebody else should. It's a bit of a weird thing.
Well, I know you're very busy. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Your latest EP, Spilling My Truth. And check out the tour. Got 3 shows around here. London at Cowboys Ranch, April 24th. April 25th at the Opera House in Toronto. And then over in Kitchener at Elements Nightclub.
Heck yeah. Get your tickets. We'll see you there.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.